Hi there, my name's Peter Dovaston. I'm the head chef here at the Three Horseshoes in Witney. The dish I'm going to showcase today is the Bouilleabaisse, my take on a French classic. So the first job is to caramelise these vegetables. So we'll get our pan on, some olive oil into there, get that nice and hot, and then we'll start with the vegetables. The carrots will take the longest, so we'll get them in first. We've got some lovely English fennel here, some carrots, shallots, garlic, leeks, some celery, fresh bay, rosemary, thyme and parsley. Give that a good stir. And while we're colouring them, start the fish. We've got some Scottish langoustines, some lovely fresh sea trout, some Scottish cod, and then we've got nice tiger prawns here as well. And some Cornish sea bass. We're going to fillet that up. So we'll take the first fillet off with a really sharp knife. Just come in just below his head. And then you follow the bone line all the way down, just one nice quick movement. And put your knife through to the end and follow it down, then all the way up to the top. That's our first fillet. And we turn it over and do the same in the reverse. Okay, so that's the second fillet there. We won't throw the bone away. That will get used in the stock. Now we just got to take the little bones out of here as well. It's the pin bones. We just use some tweezers here. And just remove those. Okay, and just trim it up a little bit. None of this will get wasted. All the trimmings will go into the soup and just add a little extra bit of flavour. Okay, that's lovely. So we'll go back to our vegetables. They're getting some colour on them now. And then the next ingredient is saffron. Now we only need a little bit of that. It goes a long way, just a little bit. It's also very expensive. Give that a stir. Okay, now we're just going to leave that for another 5 minutes just to give it a bit more colour, and then we'll be ready for the next stage. So the next process is to add our alcohols. We've got a pastis Puree, which has got a fennelly sort of flavour, which goes very nicely with fish. So we add a good couple of glugs. And then we add a reasonable quality white wine. Nothing too cheap, you want to be able to drink it yourself. I'm using half a bottle in this instance. I'm making a soup for about 10 people, so. And we'll just give that a stir, just let it marry, and then we'll just let that reduce down to a syrup. We're cooking on a medium to high heat. It needs to be quite hot, so when you do put the vegetables in initially, that you caramelise them nicely, bring out all the natural sugars and sweetness in them, so you add like a depth of flavour to the base soup. Okay, so the wine's reduced down now. It's almost completely dry, the pan at this point. So we're just going to add one more ingredient, which is star anise. This brings out the flavour of fish and the vegetables. So we just add 2 of those in this case. And just let that marry with the other flavours in there. Give it a good stir. The next ingredient is tomato puree. We're going to add all of this. It's about 100 grams or so. And we just add that and stir it in. And we let it cook out for a couple of minutes just to take the bitterness out of the tomato. And then caramelise the natural sugars again in the tomato puree to sweeten the dish up. When that's cooked out for a couple of minutes, we've taken away the bitterness, we're going to add our fish bones. So these are all the bones from the whole fish that we've had in and filleted. We've washed them, taken any blood out of them. We've got some sea bass bones there. We add the heads as well for extra flavour. We add maybe a kilo or so of those, just whatever the pan can cope with. So obviously, being in the trade, we're lucky enough to have fresh fish every day, but you could just add a fish stock at this point rather than the bones. Mixing it all up to let the fish break down, adding all the flavours together. So at that point, we're just adding enough water to cover the bones there. And then we'll give that a little stir, just make sure it doesn't stick to the base. And we're going to add the chopped tomatoes as well. Now we're just going to leave that to simmer for half an hour, 45 minutes. It will thicken up and it will come together and look a bit more soupy. So that's a good time to prepare the fish. So first of all, with the sea trout, we're just going to take the skin off it. Because we're only poaching the fish in the soup. You don't want the skin in it because it will just be tough and inedible. So you just take the flesh off. And then we just want to dice it up into like an even sort of size. Cut that in half and centimetre by centimetre dice. So that can be cooked all in the same time when it goes into the soup at the end. So that's the sea trout and some lovely cod here. all native to the UK, this fish, which is very important. Just a bit more cod. And we'll skin this again. So what we're doing is to skin the fish, just cut into it and then just use the board as a guide for the knife and just slide along. And again for the reverse. And we'll finish dicing this up. So this is sea trout, very similar to salmon, slightly more sustainable. This is still being wild caught, whereas salmon nowadays just tends to be farmed. And we'll keep the sea bass, because it's such a luxurious fish, we'll keep those fillets as it is, and we'll pan fry these and use it at the end. And there we go, that's the fish prepared, ready. So we can go back and have a look at our soup. We added cold water, that helps with the clarification. When it comes to the boil, it will bring all the impurities from the vegetables and the fish bones will rise to the top. So we need to take them away. You can see that the foam that's bubbling into the top is the impurities. So we just take them out. The soup's ready at this point. So what we need to do to it is blitz it all together with a hand blender. This is my commercial sized hand blender. I don't imagine you have one of these at home. Just use what you've got. Or you can just pass it through a sieve without blending it, as long as you just push through all the bones and all the flavours. All I've removed is the bay leaves. Everything else is in there, the fish bones, the heads, all the vegetables. We're just pureeing that all together, so all the flavours are marrying together. This is called a vegetable moulie. We'll just take the soup and pass it through here. Just turn it and all the juices will go through there. Obviously you can just use a normal sieve if you haven't got one of these at home. And that's extracting all the flavour from the bones. All the juices are going through into the bucket here. And there we have it. All the bones left in the cylinder here. And all the soup, the good stuff in there. See, that's turned into a nice soupy consistency. If it is a bit runny, you can just get it back on the heat and just reduce it down until it's the consistency you like, but this is about perfect. We've got some nice English new potatoes here, cooked in some water and some saffron. I normally do 3 per portion and let them heat through. Bring that to the boil, and in the meantime we'll get our pan on for the sea bass. It needs to be nice and hot so the fish doesn't stick. Get some oil in. And as soon as you see the first bit of smoke coming from the oil, that's the point that we know that the pan's hot enough. Okay. So we take our sea bass that's been seasoned and put it down gently away from yourself so that any oil doesn't splatter into you. And you just put that in and just rest your fingers on it and so the skin stays in the shape. And when that's ready, we'll get the next one in as well alongside it. Pop that in. And just keep our fingers pressed down so the skin stays intact. You won't burn yourself as long as you don't put your fingers in the oil. So just do be careful doing this. Okay, we'll let that cook now. And we'll get back to the soup. So that's come to a simmer. And now we'll add our fish that we diced up earlier just to poach it. We don't want this to boil, it just wants to simmer. If it gets too hot, you add your fish and the fish tightens up and goes chewy. We don't want that at all. So we'll just drop the langoustine in first. They're only going to take a couple of minutes. I've just done 1 langoustine each, 3 prawns, and a good handful of the sea trout and the cod. And then we'll just put that on the heat and just let that cook out now. Back to the sea bass. It's crisping up nicely. We're doing the majority of our cooking on the skin side. So the pan needed to be really hot so we could cook it nice and quickly. So as soon as we can see the skin's going golden from the side here, that's when we'll turn it over and not before that. Okay, so now we'll get under these. And very gently get your spatula under using your finger, just turn it over. And again with the other one, get our spatula under there, and gently turn it over. We don't want to damage the fish. You can see there the skin's gone nice and crisp. And that is pretty much cooked from there, so I'm going to take it off the heat so we don't overcook it. And the heat from the pan will steam the base so you get a lovely flaky base and a nice crisp skin. And over to the Bouilleabaisse base. We've got our fish cooking away nicely in there, the langoustines, the prawns, the cod and the sea trout. So I'm just going to check whether they're cooked or not. it's ready to go. So that's poached away nicely. The langoustines, see they've changed colour, they're nice and cooked. The prawns are ready, they've changed to that pinky colour rather than the silver colour they were previously. Potatoes are nice and warm. So now both aspects are ready, we're going to present this dish. So first of all we'll add our saffron potatoes to the bowl. So 3 per serve. Make sure we've got a nice mix of the sea trout and the cod. You can use whatever fish you like for this, whether it be frozen or fresh. We'll put a nice prawn in between each of these potatoes. Obviously you don't have to present it in this manner, you can just pour it straight into the bowl. You want a certain wow factor when the waiter or the waitress takes it out, so it adds to the enjoyment of the meal. If you like what you're eating, if it looks good in front of you. And now to finish off, we'll put our sea bass fillet on top, like that. And then the restaurant, we like to have a couple of finishing touches. This is just some chive oil. There's some chives that we've chopped up, mixed with a little bit of olive oil and some truffle oil as well. And that just goes around, just a little bit of greenery around the plate. And then we've got these lovely little micro-herbs that are grown in Worcester. We'll just put one on each potato. And we've got some nice coriander here as well. We'll just put that around the plate. And then in the restaurant, we finish it with a nice wedge of fresh lemon. And that's the Horseshoes Bouilleabaisse. It's a lovely rich dish with the tomato flavours, but it's not overpowered by fish. You have to really get involved with eating it as well, and it's a bit of fun to eat and a fun dish to make.